Welcome back to a Chart Nerd technical analysis video. Today we will be discussing the likes of Stellar XLM against the USDT on its monthly time frame pair. Now before I start, this video is not financial advice and is all for educational and entertainment purposes only. However, I hope you do enjoy the content. Now, looking at Stellar here, what a fantastic move we have seen over the past sort of week or two to 3 weeks, I would say. This month through November, we have seen a push up of roughly 6x and are currently sitting at 52 cents, which is roughly a 482% move in the last 3 weeks. What a fantastic opportunity has been. If you've been a holder from the past and you've been accumulating in these ranges, waiting for this sort of breakout, fantastic. Fair play to you guys. If you are on the sidelines and you're waiting and getting a bit of FOMO, do I get in, do I not? Again, not financial advice, but you don't really want to be buying big green dildos. Is this thing going to have a crash anytime soon? Is it going to pull back? Is it going to continue? Again, this video is not for that purpose. This is a very impulsive candle and it could go either way here. Now, again, just a prime example before I start analyzing. If we think about XRP back in 2022, it had a 230 or 40% move, I think, in a month, and the month after it came right back down to where it came from. Now, I'm not saying this is the case, but that's just a prime example of when you try and buy big green dildos, you eventually get wrecked. Again, I'm not saying that this is going to stop here or, it could continue by all means, but really and truly what I wanted to discuss with you today is why this breakout has occurred. There's some very bullish signals for the long-term macro perspective of this project. I wanted to give you some bull run targets for XLM. So let's dive into this. Now, if we look at this sort of range, really and truly, has the fun even began for XLM here? If we really sort of deep it, from its inception back in 2018, it's been caught between a sort of rock and a hard place within this sort of zone. So could we look at this as some sort of potential accumulation zone before the fun even begins? This month we're actually, if I drag this down to where the prior all-time high candle closes in May 2021, we're at a price of 52 cents. Now you can see if we look over to the right this second, we are at the prior all-time high candle closes. Absolutely insane. Within the space of a month, it's gotten back to the highs of its all-time high in candle closes. Ridiculous. Absolutely insane. So we are at this sort of range here. Are we going to meet this as resistance and sort of pull back for the next couple of weeks? It's a potential, but we could also melt through. Now with the volume, I think this is a 13.3 billion volume candle. Ridiculous volume. So this is backed strong. There is momentum and there is a kick up its arse, okay? However, again, let's get into this. Why do I think XLM has broken out? Well, again, on the charts, just solely based on speculation on charts, if we analyze these sort of previous lows and these highs, you can see that from sort of September 2020 up to the all-time high, we ran in and created this descending resistance, and since then we've came back down, retested this October 2020 support. We had support, ran into resistance, came back to support, built a higher low, sort of went sideways for a few months, and now have just exploded. So if you've watched previous videos, my Velo one I released yesterday, I was saying compression leads to expansion, and when you sort of get squeezed into these corners, okay, you're gonna get a break eventually, okay, and this got really compressed and really tight into a corner, and it's just melted out. And literally retraced pretty much towards its all-time high. So if we look at it, it's called a right angled triangle bottoming pattern. So you've had this sort of high, and again it's sort of come down, got really compressed and tightened and squeezed into a corner, and eventually it's broken out. But XLM's done this in the space of a month. If you zoomed into something like the daily, it might look a bit more like this, but within a month XLM has just exploded. So again, there was a really sort of tight pattern here that was getting really squeezed and compressed, and it has broken out. So that's one reason why I think this descending resistance, squeezing into this corner for a couple of years, three and a half years, I think it was, 4 months of sideways action. A lot of people might have been indecisive. It's a bit lackluster, hasn't caught up. Well, now it has. And again, this is just crypto for you. And again, these big green dildos can come out of nowhere, and that's what's happened for XLM. Now, if we look at some EMAs, for example, before I give you the bull run targets, I'm going to get the drawings off here for XLM. And XLM is actually, or is in the process of printing a monthly bullish cross, where the 20 EMA is crossing over the 55 EMA. And on the monthly time frame, this is an exceptionally bullish signal. Now, just a heads up, with bullish crosses, it doesn't have to happen or occur all the time, but maybe if I can find one on the weekly here, we can get an example. Maybe. So a prime example, right? If we look at XLM on the weekly and go back to this bullish cross that formed on the 10th of August 2020, you'll notice that where the cross actually formed was the local top. Okay, so if I zoom into this a little bit more, now again, this doesn't have to happen with every single cross. It's not necessarily the case every time, but I do sort of like to see a pullback when, again, just looking at this bullish cross here where that EMA crossed over. If you go straight up to the price, this was the local high on the weekly time frame before it initially came back for a large pullback and then got the continuation. And this is why I'm saying maybe it's not a wise idea to buy the big green dildos, because if you think about it, and we are actually putting in this monthly cross, which is an exceptionally bullish signal. As I'm saying, this is a really long-term bullish signal. This is a macro bullish signal. But again, when these crosses form, you're normally nearer to a top than you are to a bottom. So that's my, again, not financial advice, sorry, but that's my sort of outlook. This cross could potentially indicate that this is a local top before coming back down and then getting the continuation out of here. So this is why I'm saying it might not be wise to buy those big green dildos. Again, not financial advice, because it could just continue and take out its all-time high here as well. This is not a video where I'm trying to give you entry points. Here, I specifically wanted to try and show you bull run targets and why I'm extremely bullish on XLM. So going from these local lows of, I think it was December 2022, going back to the all-time high that currently sits at around 79.80 cents. Ignore these lower fibs down here. Let me get them off for you, actually. So we're going to get that off, and leave those on. So once XLM actually takes out 80 cents and its all-time high, okay, maybe I think this will act as resistance, potentially act as resistance, and you can sort of see that these candle closes here are acting as resistance right now also. So I think we are in that sort of territory where around this zone, and at the all-time high, we could see some sort of resistance here. But again, if it does smash it out, or when it does eventually, I think this momentum is really sort of kickstarting the journey here. As I said, we have that sort of accumulation, if you really want to see it as some sort of accumulation range. Has it even broken out and started its fun yet? That's the way that I'm looking at this. And again, it's front running with the other X's. So you got XRP, XDC, and XLM all sort of having a really good time right now. But anyways, you want to hear the targets. So once we reclaim 80 cents, I think $1.52 is going to be a breeze. I think that will get absolutely smashed. Now, again, does that have to happen right now? Are we going to take out the all-time high and go to that? No, it's not necessarily going to happen right this second, but it's one of my targets, and I think it will get blitzed. So this at the start, before this sort of monthly candle of 13.3 billion volume and a 500% increase in less than 3 weeks, at the start, this would have been a conservative target for me. And going back from just last month, if we was to have been breaking out, that would have been a 16x. That would have been a 16x move. But albeit considered, from where we are now to looking to that move, you're looking at 184%. Again, the perspective's crazy, right? A month ago to where now. Again, this is why buying big green dildos sometimes may not be the best idea.